This is Before the Build. I'm your host, Jake Fabish. This week, I had the opportunity to sit down with Emily Paprocki, owner of Rock Paper Hammer here in Louisville, Kentucky. Over the past 18 years, Emily and her husband Derek have built something truly unique and remarkable. Emily and Derek are both formally educated in architecture. Over the years, Emily has established herself as an accredited architect, while Derek has pursued a more hands-on application of architecture as a builder. More recently, they have also opened a cabinet shop under the same name. It was an absolute joy getting to know Emily and Rock Paper Hammer through this conversation. If you've not yet hit the subscribe button, please do. Many more conversations to come. Enjoy. I'd like to kick these things off by just asking what's your like a fun problem you're working on this week?
Well, let's see. I always have a lot of balls in the air. Something that I'm pushing on, which isn't really fun, but I'm just working on a set of moving a set of drawings on a new house from sort of schematic into a pricing and permitting set.
Okay.
So it's just a lot of grinding and CAD stuff and fairly time consuming. It's not my favorite part of the job, but it's kind of necessary. So that's taken a lot of time this week.
Yeah.
I have a couple other things on my plate, which are earlier phase, like what I call floor plan surgery, of like somebody's got one end of their house that they want to rework to provide a first floor primary suite for an aging in place option. So it's like moving, there's a lot of space there, moving around some existing bedrooms and bathrooms. And I always like just the floor plan, kind of figuring out the best plan.
Kind of like the early stages.
So, yes.
Yeah.
And I also have a basement that's a blank slate right now that we're refinishing and doing a bar and exercise room and all that. So another kind of floor plan. Those are waiting for. I measured them last week, and I'm getting this push out for the new house this week, and then I will jump to those new things, and then I measure a couple more things next week. So,
do you have like a my plate's full at this number of active jobs, or is it more just like as the interesting ones come in, you just?
That's a good question. I usually measure my stress level kind of by how many people are waiting on me for things currently.
Yeah.
And it can be even waiting on me to return an email, but usually that's waiting on me to for an effort in drawings. And I like to keep that number around 5 or between 5 and 10.
Okay.
But if it gets up close to 10, I start freaking out, and I will pass on, most things that come in my way if I feel like I'm up at that high end of people waiting for me, because I just don't like for people to be waiting for me.
Right.
And I will tell them that they're welcome to check back in, a couple of months to see if things have freed up, and sometimes they have, and sometimes they haven't. So.
Do your projects have like kind of a normal lifespan? Like, are you averaging like 3 months on a given project? Is it 18 months?
No normal lifespan at all, really, because it's all over the place. Because I have a lot of clients that, well, really all of them. Often it's they kind of come and go, or they. Just the project sort of waxes and wanes sometimes, or they have other things going on in their life and they don't get back to me for a long time on sort of which option they want, or they've been in Florida, so they haven't had a chance to think about it, or so it's as fast as they want it to be, kind of, but I don't have a normal, it's all over the map.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think something's going to take months and I get it done in 2 weeks. It just really depends.
It's totally. Yeah. I feel like the client has so much impact on timelines in ways that they don't always understand when you're pitching it to them. Like, they're asking for timelines. Yes.
I am reluctant to commit to any timelines ever, really. I'll give immediate things, like it'll take me 3 to 4 weeks to complete schematic design, but then I don't really commit to sort of the full length of the project. And also, I can provide several different levels of service. So if somebody is just looking for like a basic floor plan to give to their builder, and it may or may not even require a permit, then that's something that I can do relatively quickly. But sometimes people will add like they want help with the selections process, or they want 3D modeling, and they also want just all detailing of interior built-ins, things like that. So I never know at the beginning of a project how far people are going to want me to take it. And sometimes they're just eager to get going, and they say, give me the basics, and so my builder can start. So.
It sounds like too you have a full house coming up, but then you're also just kind of retooling the floor plan. Do you have like a kind of minimum threshold that, like, if it's not this much of the house, it's not really worth messing with?
My threshold is kind of moving walls.
Okay.
So if somebody comes to me with a kitchen where it's either not in the budget or they don't want to move walls, it's just an update of cabinets and countertops and appliances, fixtures and finishes, I'll usually say that I'm overkill for that. So, it's something that I can do, and sometimes I'll do that for existing clients. I'll do that for our cabinet clients sometimes, because our company has a cabinet shop as well. But often I will say, like, you don't need an architect for your cabinets. Especially around here, a lot of times where people go for their cabinets, they provide 3D and can do that design. My threshold's usually moving walls.
Okay, that makes sense. So how have you always, I know that you've always been in architecture, but like, were you always envisioning yourself in architecture, or was that sort of like an evolution as you came out of high school and like explored?
I was born with it, basically. It started at a really young age.
Really?
I feel like I was maybe like 10.
Oh, wow.
And obsessed with this one house that we would drive by on our way to school. And I started drawing what I thought it looked like on the inside, because I was kind of obsessed with it. But I didn't know about floor plans, so I drew it in section, like looking at it from the front, sort of kitchen here, bedrooms, what I thought. And I think I showed it to my dad, and he was always he was not an architect, but he definitely had an interest, and he did some drafting, and he designed the houses that we lived in, designed and built them, and had a lot of floor plan books of, from the 70s. And so he showed me those books when I showed him the, drawing that I did, and I got really hooked. And I started redlining the floor plan books. And
you saw some chances for improvement.
Yes. And so I started taking architectural drafting as soon as it was offered in like the 8th grade.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then I was pretty focused. So my high school offered it for 4 years. Something that I think is interesting. So I started doing CAD and even 3D modeling in high school.
Wow.
Actually, not 3D modeling. That was college. But started doing CAD and hand drafting in high school. And I grew up in Indiana. And at the time, probably even now, I don't know, my high school drafting teacher was very much all about Ball State architecture is the best architecture program in Indiana. So I was just really set on that's where I'm going to go. And I really didn't look at very many other places. And I did a summer program the summer after my junior year in high school at Ball State Architecture. And they said, you need to not take drafting next year, and you need to take art, which I thought was really interesting.
Was that like the impetus behind that? Was it because they felt like you needed to like loosen up, or like because you were so skilled at drafting, or what was?
No, it was the loosen up. And I don't think it was specific to me. It's to they don't. They're looking for a right side of the brain kind of situation, and they're looking for people to come in with, at least at the time, artistic skills. Now things are so different with I don't know what they still might do by hand so much as so much of the modeling and stuff is done on the computer now. But I started definitely in the age of physical models and hand drawing techniques, and so that that was nice. I liked having art then my senior year in high school, because Ball State, they're not about and I think probably most architecture programs, drafting is secondary to the design. So
that's kind of like the last step on the
but
train.
in high school, of course, drafting was primary.
So.
But I have a strong I like my background in drafting. So.
Did you feel like when you got to Ball State that you were like really well prepared for it, or was it still kind of a shock headed into the college versus the high school experience?
It was just different.
Yeah.
It was so creative and so just more mind opening. In high school it was like, here's a shed. Your shed has to be 6 by 10. Draw it, and here's what the wall sections, and draw a wall section and build a model. There wasn't a lot of creativity to it. But in architecture school, it was all about they wanted us to erase everything that we knew kind of about my drafting and everything else, and just start with big picture things. And it was, yes, it was intense, but it was also a lot of camaraderie with all the kids, all the other students in my studio, and we really became close, and it was a wonderful experience. I can't say enough good things about Ball State.
That's awesome. Did you feel like you had to fight your own tendencies at all, like with coming from like the drafting, almost more engineering kind of mindset into that artistic space, or were you like so thankful to have new horizons?
I think I was thankful for it. I think I eased pretty easily into into the design space of it. And I remember first year we had a project we had to do that was like an outdoor terrace sort of situation, and I did a drawing and a model of these stepped terraces, and then on the other side I had these waterfalls coming down and it met in the middle of the river. And we had a jury with fifth year students, and one of the students just ripped me apart about like, where are the handicap ramps? Where are the guardrails on all these terraces? You would never be able to do this. and I feel like that's kind of the person I've become now, now that I'm the licensed architect. But I miss, that was kind of a fun thing. They wanted us to start from, without those impediments, to just kind of do the nicest design.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So then you kind of, I feel like you came from the drafting world into like the freedom of concept. What was that like coming out of that then back into the real world? Was that like another kind of shift and transition, or did it just feel like a natural flow?
It felt pretty natural.
Yeah.
In college, we didn't do a lot of CAD. We did some, but not a lot. I don't really remember doing many working drawings at all.
Really?
We might have done a wall section or... I don't feel like it was emphasized at Ball State.
Okay.
Like we had structures, we had, building technology, we had all that stuff. But I think that they didn't, I'm guessing, I might be wrong, but I'm guessing that they thought that sort of training would come on the job. Mm. And maybe there were paths that focused on it more, or professors that focused on it more.
Yeah.
But when I started my first position right after I graduated, I was doing solely CAD pretty much. And I learned real fast, and all the programs are a little bit different. People have different, line weight systems. And so you kind of learn that wherever you are anyway, with whatever firm you're with.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I believe in college we used MicroStation, which I don't know if it exists anymore.
Never heard of it.
And so we didn't even use AutoCAD in college. Okay. So my first real AutoCAD was in high school, and then my job after college.
Okay. So what was your first job out of college?
It was in San Francisco.
Okay.
And because my husband, now then boyfriend, we decided that we wanted to live in the Bay Area.
Okay. Was he from Indiana as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We met at Ball State.
Okay.
He was in the architecture school as well.
Okay.
I really wanted to do sustainable design. That was sort of just in its infancy in the late 90s, and a lot of my education had been focused on sustainable design conferences and natural building colloquium, and all this LEED, was all just beginning then. And I thought that San Francisco was the place. It was kind of the epicenter of it. And so that's why we wanted to move. we just packed up our car, drove out there the day after graduation.
Wow.
And started applying for jobs, found a studio apartment in downtown San Francisco. And I got a job relatively quickly with, it was an interior architecture firm that did a lot of commercial tenant improvement work.
Okay.
So, and it was in downtown San Francisco. I walked to work or took the cable car and really kind of cut my teeth on some CAD there, and really, XREFs and layering and building a set and all that.
Yeah.
And there were several other like young 20-somethings that I worked with that are still some of my best friends.
That's awesome. Was that firm sustainably focused, or was that just?
It was not.
It was not.
No,
okay.
And that is one thing that I didn't really end up following. When I tried, but it was more important to me just to get a job and have an income. So even though I did apply, and I really wanted to work for Sim Vanderen, who was he was one of the leaders in ecological design and had been state architect of California, taught at Berkeley for years, and I had interviewed with him. He did not have a position available.
Okay.
So no, I didn't end up in the green world, which is, I still try to bring it into things when I can. I still did become a LEED accredited professional. I was still involved in the sustainable design kind of other professional groups. Just the firms I worked for, it wasn't necessarily their focus.
So right now you're in residential, and from my understanding of LEED, it's pretty commercial focused.
It is.
It's very kind of like urban this and urban that. So with all the LEED focus and like the sustainability focus, were you also focused on commercial at the time, or were you trying to bring those principles into residential?
Well, my work arc transition, I only had that commercial job for a year or so, and then I got another job nearby. I don't know why. I just did an upgrade, but it was a firm that did resort work, and high-end residential, and a lot of golf course development. And that's sort of where I started getting experience in high-end residential. A lot of second home communities in Hawaii and Mexico, and I got to go a lot of great places, and so that's sort of, and that was what the remainder of my experience in San Francisco was high-end custom residential. So the LEED, I got that certification around the same time, so it was out there that I became licensed, and after I became licensed, I think I did the LEED thing, and it was just an accreditation that I wanted for myself. And I don't even think I've kept up. I don't think I've kept up with it. I got it so long ago. I was grandfathered in, but then it was an old email. I don't know. But I don't use, I mean, I use the knowledge is there, but I have not worked on a LEED certified project. So.
But I think, like you said, it does so much formation. I started to pursue LEED accreditation, but it was so commercial, I ended up switching over to Passive House. But whether or not you get to use all of those principles or all the way, I still think it informs so many decisions when you have that kind of background of this is a different way to solve a problem.
And I think it's interesting too. The one thing that kind of frustrated me with LEED is somebody wants to build a 5,000 square foot LEED platinum home. I just feel like building any new home is inherently not the greenest way to do it. So, the background was great. It was 2006 when I became a LEED accredited professional, so that's been 20 years ago. So a lot of things. A lot of things have shifted. So
did you, coming from Indiana to California, did you have to take a lot more education in California to become licensed in California, or was it a pretty smooth transfer?
It was pretty smooth. I mean, my degree, I had a 5-year professional degree from Ball State, so it set me up to be able to sit for the exams as soon as I was done with whatever the 3 years professional internship. And again, I was pretty driven, and I was just I pursued everything as quickly as I could. So I think that I got my license when I was 25.
Wow.
And California at that time, I can't remember, there were like 9 exams, and California just had an extra seismic one.
Okay.
That was the only thing that was
Special.
different than the rest of the national architecture exam. So it wasn't, I took one a month. I just like,
Yeah.
this, you probably see a trend. But, yeah, so.
Yeah. So you're there, you did that, and you guys were in San Francisco for 10 years, roughly?
It was, it wasn't that clear, but yes.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
more or less.
So what
yes.
was Derek, what was
Yes.
he doing during that process?
He moved into the more into the construction
Okay.
side of things.
Okay.
So his degree was in architecture, but he did not pursue licensure and the professional architecture path. He is more of a hands-on person, and so he worked with a couple of different contractors in San Francisco, and eventually he partnered with an architect who was creating a design build
Okay.
company in San Francisco. And that was sort of the beginning framework for Rock, Paper, Hammer, is sort of how he and that architect worked together, formed a lot of how we do things now.
Yeah.
Basically now Derek is still great friends with that architect, but we just made the decision to come back here for family
Yeah.
reasons. And so then I sort of became the architect, and much of our model in terms of how we're not really conventional design build. We're not like a builder-led design build. We're more architecture and construction. And we took a lot of that, the design-led from how he worked out there and his partnership out there. So.
Is that kind of like when you guys both moved out there, was that kind of his plan, or did that kind of come about as he explored architecture and what his opportunities were?
It was organic.
Yeah.
I mean, it just came about. It was this, we knew of this architect from other friends and connections, and I think they wanted Derek's, experience on board for their, I guess first he worked for them as a draftsperson.
Okay.
And then it morphed into him doing site work and like them, and then it became like the design build or the architecture and construction partnership over the years. So,
is there a particular does he like trim carpentry? Is there a particular task that he always takes on, or is it more just kind of the general contracting and quality control?
He's a trim carpentry guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a detail wood. Cabinetry kind of guy. Also very mechanical, which he doesn't get to do much in architecture, but he does welding. He's always interested in things that are, mechanical challenges.
Yeah.
But like drywall, he'll sub out. Yes, floor, big, that sort of stuff. But he's a good framer. He will often do his own framing on smaller projects.
Yeah.
But the wood and trees are his passion, carpentry, and so
that's really cool. What a neat combination. Those skill sets for both of you guys. His particular skill sets. It's not every carpenter that has a architecture background. And,
right.
That's
He's
special.
Yeah, and he is a good designer. In many ways, he's a stronger designer than I am, I think, and he's very creative. And I run things by him often.
Yeah.
And so I run design things by him, and I also will run by him, okay, how would I build this?
Yeah.
Like when I need to draw something.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of respect for the builders, actually building the things, and I don't come at it as the builder's an idiot and I need to give them every single detail of how to do it. I like to think the builders, at least that I work with, are talented professionals that know better than I do, and they're the ones that ultimately hold the responsibility in terms of the liability for it being, waterproofed and built correctly. So, and where I was going with that, but I'll defer to them on how would you build this?
Yeah.
What's the proper way to do this?
Yeah, it's nice to have your husband on staff.
Yes, yes.
So did you do, before you moved back to Louisville, did you do any, like, on your own work? Were you launching Rock, Paper, Hammer out there in any sense, or did you not do that?
I was very much, I liked working for somebody else.
Okay.
I had I had a couple different jobs that were all kind of spin-offs of that first resort job that I had. That company was called Hart Howerton, and then I moved to Hawaii with them to work on a big project on the Big Island.
Okay.
And
what was that like?
It was really, I mean, it was really fun. We were newlyweds, living in Hawaii. We did quickly find that we found Hawaii to be a wonderful place to visit.
Yeah.
But living there, we needed a little more action going on. We weren't, Hawaii is beautiful. If we had had children then, it might have been different, but we didn't yet. And so we were kind of like ready to move on and do something different after about a year.
Okay.
But I still hold that time. I don't know. It was really special. I'm really glad we lived there. But so the principal of our firm there spun off into the rest of my career was in California, and Hawaii was spent with people who spun off from that original Hart Howerton firm.
Okay.
So,
and they all kind of stayed in that same vein of resort, kind of second home building. Okay. So you guys are in San Francisco, and you moved back to Louisville, which is not where either one of you guys were originally from. What was the draw back to Louisville?
Well, I'm from Southern Indiana, just across the river.
Yeah.
So my parents are still over there, and my sister lives in Louisville now. She was also in California for a while, and I think just once we had two young kids, it was just important to me for our kids to be around their families. My husband's family was in Northern Indiana, so when we were in California, once we had the kids, we spent every holiday was spent coming back here, and I was a little bit like, maybe I want to live back here so that I can also go other places on the holidays. Yeah. So then we ended up going to California for all of our holidays once we lived back here. But that was really a draw to be closer to family, and also, I missed hot summers. It's very chilly in the Bay Area, sort of year round, and I just sort of we were drawn to kind of the less expensive aspect of life here, even though now we're like, we should have bought in San Francisco in 1999.
Right.
But it was a difficult decision to move back here because we loved what we had out there, and we had a lot of great friends, and we had good careers out there.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
what were your kids' ages at that time?
They were almost 2 and almost 5 when we moved back here.
Okay.
So
I could see that being really daunting to move back across the country with 2 kids, and then did you immediately launch Rock, Paper, Hammer, or did you do anything first when you moved back?
Well, we quietly launched it by working on our own home.
Okay.
And that was sort of how Derek got into learning about subs here, learning about suppliers, figuring out who, where. So it was just kind of quiet and unintentional, and we didn't honestly, we didn't know that there would be the clientele here for the kind of work that we wanted to do. And but when we were working on our own home, we needed somebody to help. So we put an ad on Craigslist, which was the thing to do at the time, and found another carpenter who had recently moved back here from out west and had grown up here. And so he helped us on our own home and then became our first employee. And he knew a lot of people in the Louisville area and helped kind of connect us to some of our first clients, which was really great. And so we suddenly just had work. I wasn't even planning on really working. I was like, I want to be able to stay home with my children. And I did, I definitely had a flexible schedule. But it was like, if somebody wanted Derek to build something, they needed somebody to draw it. And so I would get sort of pulled in to do that. So it was I don't know. That's kind of how it started.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot going on. You're fixing your own house.
Well, it was kind of after our house was wrapped up that we ended up doing anything for anybody else.
Okay, so you're able to just kind of focus on your place for that initial when you got here. Okay.
Yes, first, it was like for 6 months.
Yeah, yeah. So was it like a complete gut? What all did you do to the house when you bought it?
It was a complete gut. It's an old bungalow. It's 100 years old this year in Crescent Hill.
Okay.
And we gutted it so we were able to put down to insulate it, and we put in new windows.
Okay.
New flooring. We put on an addition.
Okay.
And
how much, like, percent of the house? How much did you add on? Like another 25%, 50%?
Probably another 30 to 40%.
Okay.
I've never done the math.
Pretty substantial, though.
I mean, part of it was a garage, so depending on how, whether you count that. The house was pretty small to begin with. Mm-hmm. It was 2 bedrooms and 1 bath, and that was all on the second floor.
Okay.
So it's still it's still 1,800 square feet. I mean, it's not a large house.
Yeah.
And I like our, modest home personally. So, it wasn't too big. Our kids are out of the house now, and it doesn't feel too big.
Yeah,
and I like it that way.
Yeah,
so,
I'm all about the cozy homes.
Yes.
And, I have a dream in my mind of building like a Irish-inspired stone little home for me and my wife as our retirement home, something small and easy to get around.
That sounds nice.
Yeah. So I appreciate that aesthetic. So you're there. You get the house all fixed up. Your husband's getting work coming in, and all of a sudden you're working. Where does the name Rock Paper Hammer come from?
Well, when we first started the company, we just called it Paprocki LLC because it was mainly Derek, and my last name wasn't Paprocki at the time. I kept my maiden name, which was Fisher, for a long time.
Okay.
Until just a few years ago.
Okay.
And we were growing, and we had a couple of employees, and we wanted a different name.
Okay.
We wanted something that wasn't his name, partially because it wasn't also my name, but also because we wanted a kind of team approach. We didn't want it to be like, this is our company. We wanted it to be, it's everybody's company. And we really thought a lot about the name, and, polled all of our friends, and even had a friend who was in marketing, like, help, they did like a focus group and came up with ideas for us. And we wanted a name that, since Derek in particular both of us were interested in different aspects of the creative world. Like, we wanted a name that doesn't necessarily say that we're only builders or that we're only designers.
Yeah.
And what if we wanted to pivot to making furniture or so we wanted a name that would encompass sort of any creative endeavor that we might want to do.
Okay.
And it was Derek that just kind of came up with Rock Paper Hammer one day, and I said, "That's it," and it the tie to our name wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
The name Paprocki does. It has a Polish background. It was Paprocki, and it meant. I believe I've heard dweller among the ferns.
Okay.
Like papyrus is like papyrus, so it is the paper is like in there, and then now it has the rock, and the hammer is just kind of obvious. I don't know. I feel like Derek's like a big hammer kind of guy, but it was attractive because the URL was available for it, the domain was available for it, the rockpaperhammer.com, which made it. But we had some friends who really advised us against it. They said it's too playful. It's too, Louisville is not going to go for that. Louisville's too old school.
Yeah.
You should maybe use that as the name for your blog, but don't use that as the name for your company. But we did it, and we haven't regretted it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I feel like it is a very like fun name, but I think, I didn't know that backstory, but I look at what you guys have built, and I feel like I could guess where Rock Paper Hammer came from. I feel like you guys, in your different creative endeavors, kind of, and that encompasses your scope of work. So it's a cool.
Yes, like the paper is kind of the design, it's it can be read a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So, but it works. So.
Did you guys come up? Is there like a tagline behind it, like Rock Paper Hammer? Is there anything that ties it all together?
Not really anything exciting like that. No.
Okay.
No, just the name, and we're pretty. We slack quite a bit on social media and marketing ourselves. We haven't really had too much, and we've sort of made the conscious decision to stay pretty small.
Yeah.
And we went into this because we like doing it, and we want to make a living at what we like doing. We didn't go into it as like this model to make this big business that we could grow and sell, and and that's why we might turn down some work. We would just rather stay small and be able to deliver the quality on everything we do. Than so we I don't know, we just weren't. We don't come at it with a businessy. So we need a tagline, So
well, I have so much respect for what you guys have built. It's really impressive the way you guys have vertically integrated, just the ability kind of top to bottom. So you guys have, I know you guys aren't exactly teamed up on everything, but you and your husband kind of doing the drawing and the building. And then where did the cabinet shop? When did that come along?
The cabinet shop kind of came up because Derek really wanted a shop, and it the opportunity for us to purchase a shop from another builder that had a cabinet shop in place came up, and we jumped on it, and so then we had the shop. And at first we just did cabinets that came up for our for the construction projects that we were doing, but then we started, as we, it's tricky because with the cabinet shop, you kind of need a paint booth, and then you need a person to run the paint booth, and then we kind of had to hire up to make the to get the cabinet shop. I don't know, to make it anything more than sort of hobby level. We needed to hire up for it, and then it became, we do need cabinet work also sort of outside of some of our construction jobs sometimes. So we do work with other general contractors. Sometimes projects that I work on might be, I do the design, another GC is doing the construction, but Rock Paper Hammer will provide the cabinets.
Okay.
So the cabinets are high end, they're totally custom. They're pretty well suited for somebody that wants something special. That just wants something that's like not a standard thing. Or what Derek really likes is if there's like some special wood, or somebody has a tree that they want to turn into, a table or a cabinet piece, that sort of thing we can really get into. Or, we've been brought in on projects where they specifically want the cabinets made of reclaimed wood. Like that's something a lot of cabinet people won't deal with. Or they want cabinets to precisely match something that's already there. Right. So things like that are kind of our specialty.
So right now, how many employees are under Rock Paper Hammer?
Oh gosh, there are 6 of us total.
Okay.
I believe there are 6 of us total. Yes, Derek and myself and 4 guys, which are all on the construction and cabinet shop side. And then I'm kind of the lone wolf designer side.
That's a lot to like manage. Like, is who's like the business mind to pull all that together? That's like a lot of different directions and ideas and stuff.
Derek is the business mind. I do the bookkeeping and the admin for the construction side as well, which is a lot. So, I do, and that's, I could keep myself busy just with my architecture work, but I spend a lot of time doing billing for construction, payroll, those sorts sorts of things.
Yeah, so, as a business owner, that's why my mind's running like, who's doing all that?
Yes. So that's a lot of me. Derek is more big picture with the business, and he's the one that, he usually has his hand on exactly what's needed or how much money is here or there, whereas I don't know. I have to look at the books to find out what's money, what's here or there, and he doesn't look at the books as often, but just sort of he just sort of knows. And he's, I'd say the business, he's definitely more entrepreneurial than I am. I jumped into this because he's a have his own business kind of guy. Like I said, when I was in California, I was very happy to work for others.
The people who don't own their own business don't appreciate all the extra time that goes into the things like bookkeeping and tracking down receipts and keeping up with invoices and this time of year with taxes. And,
all that.
So
all
much
those
stuff.
things. Insurance and audits and all that stuff.
So you guys are empty nesters now. I feel like you guys have carved a pretty good niche in the Louisville market. Like what would you love to see with Rock, Paper, Hammer in the next 5-10 years? Like,
that's a good question. We really, I think we would love it if it just continues. I would love continuing on the path we've been on. Like I love what I do, and I do think that we might try to travel a little bit more. We might, I don't know, step back a little bit, but we. I don't know what the path is really. It could be. We think about succession and like what's happens to the business, and really our business doesn't exist without us. We don't know if Rock, Paper, Hammer is going to end with us, or if it's going to find a way. And again, that's a nice thing about the name is it's flexible. Like we've told our kids, like our son is into mechanical engineering, and we've said, hey, would you want our company? And you could turn it into something else. You could make skateboards or do whatever. But I don't think our kids they're doing other things. I don't think they're interested. So I don't know. Right now we're just kind of we get a lot of repeat clientele, and that has been what's kept Derek busy for like the last 5 years. It's just like, you did our last house. Now we're doing something new. Can you help? And it's a nice, it's a situation that we know, and so in a way, it's almost like an obligation of Derek's and ours to like. It's like we can't. The work is too good, and it's situations that we know are good, so we can't turn it down. So I don't know. We're just kind of moving forward for now with the work that. Keeps coming in. So
I think it's such like a recognition of your guys' character and the quality of your work that you can be in that spot where you've established yourself. People trust you, and you just get to work with people you like. That's the entrepreneurial
It is
dream.
a luxury.
It
is a luxury that we're able to choose. Who we work with, because it's and I tell people all the time, it's a very personal thing, both the architecture and the construction. I'm part therapist with people a lot, and I find myself being like, I'm like the tiebreaker between the husband and wife. Like they both have what they think, and then they have me over, and they don't want to tell me what they think. They just want to hear what I think, and then I'm gonna, one of them wins a bet or something. So it's very personal what I do in people's homes, and then. The construction with what Derek does, also very personal, but it's exchanging such larger amounts of money. Sometimes I vet projects that might be well suited for our construction team based on how they are to work with in the design process. But I work with many other builders because Derek really only does one or two big projects at a time, and I can design a lot more than that.
Right.
So, and even the ones he's worked on recently, I was not the architect on.
Okay.
So the architecture and construction processes are separate. You pay for the design, you own it, and you can have it priced, anybody can, but we do like to work together.
Yeah.
We like it when we have that opportunity.
Yeah. So coming from California back to Kentucky, what was kind of like for you one of the harder transition points of kind of it's just the stylistically and the way work gets done, the way business is transacted, the kind of transactions, the style of the homes, that kind of stuff. What do you feel like was a big transition for you guys?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, definitely the style of the homes. Everything's brick,
Right.
and that was something that we were really used to. I wasn't used to working by myself and for myself.
Yeah.
I had been working for companies, so that part was different. Trying to think. We did end up, though, finding people that wanted interesting things, which I didn't know if we would, but there are a lot of people that were interested in that. So I don't really know if I saw any big challenges other than I think I missed working with people, and I feel like I don't know a lot of other architects in Louisville because I've never worked for a firm here in Louisville.
Right.
I didn't go to UK, So, and in California, like all my friends were other architects and designers.
Yeah.
So I enjoy meeting other architects, here, especially people doing the same thing that I do, because the residential world, as you know, is like a little pretty different from the commercial world.
Yeah.
But I don't feel a sense of competition with other people that do what I do. I feel like seems to be enough work, and I just really love hanging out with other architects when I can.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've over time kind of developed the rock, paper, hammer style of your your grab box of when you go to start applying concepts and stuff like that? Do you have an Emily kind of template that you work through in your concepts, or do you just 100% start clean slate, start with the customer? Kind of what's your approach?
I start clean slate.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, especially stylistically, I really like to work on existing homes.
Okay.
I prefer existing homes to new construction, and I like having the framework of an existing house to work from, and I don't really have a design style that I prescribe or subscribe to. Sometimes the owner wants it to match the house, and that's fine with me. Sometimes the owner wants something different, and that's fine with me. I will object if they want something that I don't feel is appropriate, or that I don't feel is appropriate with the house, but I don't have a particular style. I like things that are a little cleaner and more modern, and use warm materials. So I think that's probably the a main common thread that goes through. I think what I try to do is like wood, stone, like natural materials, but used in cleaner, more contemporary ways when I have the chance. And so, but really, I start from scratch every single time.
Yeah.
So,
do you have a favorite project that Rock Paper Hammer has executed? I know there's every project's so unique; it's hard to compare one to the other. But do you have one that you look at that you're really proud of? That's kind of a go-to favorite.
That's like naming your favorite child. Like I really have trouble doing that. There's one that we've worked on together. Well, there's a couple of them that we've worked on together have been really nice. One of them was a kitchen in the Highlands, and it was a very simple kitchen. Well, not simple. It was a small kitchen, but it had a lot of nice detailing. And the owner, I really loved how the owner just let us do our thing.
Yeah.
She was not like, I want this, and I want this, and here's my Pinterest. She's like, you all just, and it turned out really nice. It's been published in Better Homes and Gardens. It's,
awesome.
That was a really nice little project. We worked on the renovation of an old barn.
Okay.
That was like 100. I mean, it was 150-year-old barn, a timber frame barn that we converted into kind of a family communal space that was also really fun to work on. Again, that was something that we did together, and something where we were given a lot of leeway by the clients. We have a mid-century modern house on Middle Way that we've worked on a couple times. And again, we have several projects that we've worked on multiple times, like the same house for multiple owners. And that house on Middle Way is one of them. We did an exterior overhaul on it, and the before and afters are pretty incredible. We did the design and construction. It was featured in Dwell magazine, so it's been a fun one. And then I really like the new build that I recently teamed up with Eldridge, and I did kind of the schematic design, and then they took it from there as design build, and it's here in the heart of Louisville. And
I've seen pictures of it. It's beautiful.
So that's one that I'm proud of.
So what was the like magazine experiences like?
Well, trying to think how the first one started. I think I've been published, I don't know, 3 or 4 times in Better Homes and Gardens, and I'm blanking on one of them. It might have been Southern Living and Dwell, and I think that, well, actually, I think I do know how it started. It was in the early days of House. I was active on that early on, even though, despite my resistance to social media, a designer friend of mine in California had said, you should do it. You know? So I've always gotten nice photos of my projects, and I've always, put them on House and put them on our website. And I think that those photos just got us on the radar. And I haven't pitched the projects to any of these publications. They've emailed me, or like they've seen it somewhere, they've seen it online or something, and wanted to feature it. So it's been fun. They usually do a phone interview with me, and then the photo shoot at the house is what's kind of the big deal. Really interesting, where they fly in stylists and they take out everything in the kitchen and like put in props that they've bought that day that then they're going to return, like just for the photo shoot. So the photo shoots are always pretty fun and interesting.
That sounds like a fun experience. Do you feel like that really changed things for Rock Paper Hammer, or do you feel like it just continued?
I think it just continued things. I don't know how many people. I don't know if I've gotten a client that said they called because they've seen us in something. Maybe the Dwell one got some attention. So I don't know. We probably didn't capitalize on any of them as much as we should have. But they're nice feathers in our cap for sure. So.
Well, that's awesome. I think it definitely speaks to the quality of the work you're producing. And I was going to ask, what do you notice is the biggest difference between the projects where you and Derek get to work together and the ones that you are participant in, but you're not necessarily getting Derek on that project? What are some kind of things that you notice that are run different, or your experience, or the client's experience?
That's a good question. And I honestly don't know how different it even feels to me. It might be a difference. I think it's mainly a difference between having Derek as your contractor and having somebody else as your contractor, because he's kind of once it's under construction, it's mainly about the contractor, and that person becomes more of the client's day to day. So I don't know.
I guess
I think the owners might have more to say about differences, but I don't know. Because usually I'm roped in more to like the dinner conversation about like, how do you want to do this? And so we're sketching something, and then just in all hours, there's sort of more banter about it, and so that, I think that the projects that have us both probably get more attention because there's a lot of kind of unbilled conversational time. But again, we have that even on projects that we're not doing together because we're always kind of firing things, and we always know what the other one's working on, even if we're not working together. So I don't know. Derek's construction projects tend to be sometimes the more complex ones. That involve things that are just like, whether it's tie-in or a level of detail, but that are just kind of more complicated than like the standard contractor. And sometimes I'll tell people, like, your project is pretty simple. Like, you can, like, really there are a lot of people that could build this. I don't think, usually Derek is booked, and it's not really a cost issue. But it's just that Derek he enjoys the things that are like
harder to figure out,
challenging. So he likes the challenge. So
I guess another way to ask the same question would be if what could a contractor do better from your point of view as the architect to when you did your intake form. What I loved about it was you talked about like your primary joy in what you do is the client's experience at the end of it. And so from your seat on that bus of all the different people that have to come together to pull off any project, as the architect in that bus, what is something a contractor could do better, or something that you've learned from Derek that you wish other contractors would integrate in the way they interface between you and the client to make sure that your vision gets executed really well?
Well, I think just asking questions as they have them, as they go. And, because sometimes my drawings don't, they usually include most of what it's supposed to look like. It might not include a lot of construction details, but it includes the basics construction details, and then a lot of detail about how it looks, because I feel like that's the part the contractor doesn't know. Like, they know how it goes together, but they don't know, like, how I want it to look. But I want them to ask me if there are questions, and I want them to send me a picture and say, how do you want us to do this? Or, and I don't want them to be afraid of doing that or not do that. So I just think communication is important, and it's tricky because I bill hourly, and so if a lot of clients will keep me on and we'll do weekly walkthroughs, and but some clients don't want to continue paying architectural fees for that, and they just want the contractor to build it, and sometimes that puts a contractor, I think, in a tough position. Is like, am I allowed to ask Emily, or does that mean my client's going to get a bill in there? And I would say that I never want people to be reluctant to ask me questions, because if it's a email or a quick answer or something, I'm happy to do it. Nobody's going to get a bill for that. If it's something that requires drawings or some additional research, I will ask the client. I'll say, hey, they need to know this. Is it can I spend a couple hours doing this? So I would always check. But I think communication, and every builder, there are a lot of them that are good at it. Derek isn't the only one. I work with a lot of good builders. It's the building process is difficult, and there's always a huge education that for people that haven't done it before, that I start having with them when I come in, like the differences between a fixed bid job and a time and materials job, and the differences between having all your details worked out before you start means that you'll get a more accurate initial estimate or bid. Whereas if you just have a really loose set of drawings, you might be able to start quicker and you might pay less for architectural fees, but you're likely to have more increases as you go. And sometimes those can be very costly. So things like, I don't know, I know this isn't what you asked, but I think that I do a lot of education about the build process with my clients from early on. No matter who, I don't even know who's going to build it then, but I like to have honest talks about, like, how much are you thinking this is going to cost? Just I don't want them to hire me and pay me for a design that they think is going to cost $50,000, but the bids all come in at $250,000. And sometimes people it's hard to know what things cost.
Yeah.
I feel like there's not a lot of accurate information.
Yeah. Well, and there's also there's so many decisions on the way.
There are.
And every one of those decisions has some kind of ripple effect. You can't control how that ripples out. So I think one of the my favorite questions to ask architects and designers, and it's just, I think clients by and large so underestimate how complicated most construction projects are. There's some that are simple and straightforward, but most construction projects, especially once you punch outside the envelope of the house, but even inside the envelope of the house, there's just so many factors. You got thermal performance, structural performance. There's just so many different things that are, and all you're looking at usually is the Pinterest picture, or you just so from that perspective, and in caring for clients, how do you kind of educate on the value that an architect brings in a city where the temptation is to skip the architect and go straight to, who can get this done? And guy walks in and says, I can get this done, but nobody has a plan in place. Nobody has thought through anything yet. And you're just trusting that guy to get it done versus coming to an architect who might not even be the person that's getting it done, but it's going to help you process through what getting it done means, what it looks like, all those decisions.
I had this conversation last week at a consultation about a kitchen where it's a kitchen with wall moving and surgery. And this homeowner had recently moved here from a large city, and where she previously lived, everybody hired an architect which is how it was in San Francisco. You can't do anything without an architect. And since she moved here and she wants to do this project, a lot of her friends and neighbors are telling her, you don't need an architect, just the builder. Like you said, things are builder-led here. And she wasn't so sure. She had me, over to talk about it. And what I explained to her was kind of the difference between the builder-led process and the design-led process. And with the builder-led process, they'll give you a quote, and then they'll have their draftsperson or whoever draw something that more or less hits the number that they gave you, but they aren't necessarily exploring all of the different options of the design. They give a number before they've explored anything and then they just kind of come up with something, the first thing that they can find that fits the program and fits the budget. But with bringing a designer in, I think what I do and a lot of what all designers do that sometimes doesn't happen in the builder-led process is look at every option. And even in a kitchen, there can be 4 different scenarios of the layout and the flow and where the walls and windows go. And so I think I really like that early schematic phase of just figuring out what works best. And I am keeping budget in mind. It's not like I'm not considering it at all. But and when I meet with them, I'll often say okay, this one's the $1 sign option, and then I'll present them in order of this is going to be the least costly because we're moving, and then this is the most. And then it really is design leading the process, and and I'm also kind of a neutral party because I don't necessarily know who the builder is yet at that time. I'm not, and we're just looking at it purely for what's going to work best for their needs and what they want to do. So, and I think that architects can bring a more independent eye to that. So,
and I think one of the biggest values that whole process brings out is it's not a guarantee that there'll be no regrets, but it's a lot closer to a guarantee because you saw the options. At least if you got to see 4 options and you said no to 3 of them, at least at the end of the project, you're not experiencing this I wonder what would have happened if we would have done this instead of that, And I think when you jump right into let's get started, can be the result as you get to the end of that project and you're well, shoot, what if we would have made this window bigger or smaller.
And I can also, I do a lot of SketchUp 3D, and I do a lot of that early on. And, sometimes if I present multiple plans, I'll have people pick a plan, and then I'll do a 3D. Sometimes I'll do a 3D of more than one plan, like if they can't decide.
Yeah.
Because the 3D can be really, really powerful for people to feel what a space feels like. And normally you don't necessarily get that until you're far, like your builder might do it, like his construction software might do it, or your cabinet place might do it, but usually it's like the layout has been decided. Things are pretty far down the road before you're getting the 3D cabinets.
Yeah.
And, 3D cabinet drawings are great, but they the 3D drawings that I do will also show really accurate windows and the beams in the ceiling, and sort of take all the things into consideration that are part of the space. And accurately show them. So, and with the 3D, we can look at the divided light pattern in the windows. We can look at colors, on the cabinets. So it's again purely design and pretty valuable, and also why I charge hourly because everybody's got different levels of need for how much they want to see ahead of time and how much they want to play around with things, or it might be we nail it right away. So
not usually, but sometimes
sometimes
so. One and done. Awesome. Well, I just really appreciate what you and Derek have built, and watching you guys from the outside. But yeah, just really respect your guys' passion and commitment. Clearly commitment to I think what set me on project management and design and all that was fixing the client experience of coming in on the later end of jobs and experiencing client regret and just being like, this is awful. Like we shouldn't be doing this. We should be like, by the end of the project, you should be like so jazzed you did it. It's a big investment. It's a lot. It requires a lot from you. So there's nothing worse than spending all the money and having that experience of the months, having your house torn up or whatever, and get to the end of it and be like, I regret this. Like that's terrible. And so I love the design first process for that reason, so we can protect our clients. We can deliver on expectations if we have that design done really well, and they've seen the options and they've made the informed choices on budget and all that. That to me is the secret sauce of like, we'll get to the end and you're still going to like me. We're still going to be friends.
That's always my goal. And that's my goal with the contractor as well, no matter who the contractor is. And I always like to follow up with clients sometimes I'm not involved as the project, is under construction. A lot of times the contractor just like does it. They've got their system, their selections, but I always like to follow up. I always like to ask how it went. Would they work for that would they work with that builder again? Because I'm always looking for builders to work with and to recommend and that I trust. And so I always follow up. I always ask if they'll share with me, like where the number came in, did the number stay, how did the number stay? And then, because then I use that knowledge when I'm meeting with people about future projects, because then I have in my head, like how much certain things cost that I've worked on recently. So it allows me to have some somewhat accurate ballparks to give them when they're considering projects. So what's your favorite way for people to reach out to you? If people are wanting to connect with Emily, what's your favorite way for them to do that? I prefer through our website, rockpaperhammer.com, and there is a contact form on there that I like when people fill that thing out, name, address, what you're wanting to do. The more detail you can give, the better. And I will always respond. I may, there are times when I'm not able to take on new projects, but I will at least always respond and tell you that. So I'm very into communication and being straight up and honest with people. And if somebody was like wanted to come for cabinets only, would it be the same process, or is there a separate? It is the same process, and in our on our contact form it says what services are you interested in. Because that's a confusing thing about our company is that we kind of do these three different things, and there's nobody else that does it quite like us. So I have to explain every time that they're separate, and so the contact form says architecture, general contracting, or cabinets, custom built-ins,
Yeah.
so people can check which thing they're interested in.
Okay.
So,
Awesome.
and then if it's it's tricky because with cabinets and built-ins, sometimes there is a design process with that as well. And if it's sometimes there's not. Sometimes people have a picture that they want and they just want somebody to build it. In that case, it goes straight to our cabinet shop.
Yeah.
If it's like a whole kitchen that really has some design first, then it might come to me first for design before it goes to our cabinet shop.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we've reached an hour and 10.
flew by.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.